해서 자라고 있는 그러한 곳입니다. 곶자왈 지대 내에 그 특산식물들을 보게 되면 이 특산식물이라고 하는 것은 제주도 내, 전 세계적으로 제주도에만 자라고 있는 그러한 식물종들로서 엄청나게 많은 그런 특산식물들이 자라고 있어서 제주도에서 이 식물들이 사라진다면 지구상에서 멸종이 되어버리는 그러한 식물종들이 아주 다양하게 많이 분포하고 있습니다. 개가시나무라든가 얼음난초, 제주고사리산 같은 이러한 식물들이 있고요. 이제 또 제주도 내에서도 곶자왈에만 한정해서 분포하고 있는 식물들이 이렇게 분포하고 있습니다. 그 다음에 곶자왈 내 멸종위기 및 희귀식물의 분포, 이 IUCN에서 지정한 그러한 식물들을 보게 되면 이제 멸종위기종이 9종이고요. 위기종이 19종, 취약종이 21종으로 아주 많은 식물들이 분포하고 있습니다. 지금 세계자연유산으로 지정이 되어 있고 세계자연유산, 세계지질공원, 그 다음에 생물권 보존지역 3개의 타이틀을 갖고 있는 한라산 국립공원인 경우에는 지금 생물종이 553종이 분포하고 있지만 지금 어떠한 보호도 받지 못하고 있는 곶자왈 지역에는 715종이 분포하고 있습니다. 이렇게 분포 면적은 유사하지만 식물 다양성이 아주 높은 이곳은 아직 보호를 받지 못하고 있는 상태입니다. 곶자왈의 동물생태학적인 특성을 보면 여기에 곤충상들입니다. 곤충상들은 PPT로 대체를 하도록 하겠습니다. 그 다음에 곶자왈이 되면 나비목 곤충상도 PPT로 대신을 하고요. 그 다음 제주도산 미기록정 목록입니다. 여기에 보시면 노림zet과 반날갯과 고치벌과 같은 이러한 곤충들이 제주도에서 아직 미기록으로 미기록종들이 많이 자생하고 살고 있는 그러한 지대입니다. 그 다음에 곶자왈 지대의 조류상도 마찬가지입니다. 이 곶자왈 지대에서 이제 관찰할 수 있는 희귀조류들을 보게 되면 이제 원앙이라든가 황조롱이, 그 다음에 벌매, 독수리, 참매, 말똥가리, 팔색조, 긴꼬리 딱새 같은 희귀조류들이 많이 서식을 하고 있습니다. 그래서 이제 곶자왈은 보존이 돼야 할 수밖에 없습니다. 왜냐하면 한라산에서 해안까지 해발 1950m에서 0m까지 생태계를 이어주는 곶자왈이 이제 단절이 되어버리게 된다면 한라산 국립공원에 있는 식물은 그 한 지역에만 분포할 수밖에 없을 것이고 해안에 있는 식물은 해안에 있을 수밖에 없습니다. 하지만 곶자왈이 한라산과 해안을 잇는 그러한 생태계의 보고이기 때문에 그러한 곶자왈을 우리는 보존을 해야 될 것이다. 그래서 지속적으로 이제 생태계를 조사하고 보호하는 그러한 노력을 해야 할 것이다라는 겁니다. 이제 곶자왈은 계속해서 이렇게 파괴의 위협으로 놓여 있고요. 어린애들이 놀 수 있는 용천수도 부족한 상태가 되고 있습니다. 이러한 어린애들이 용천수에서 마음껏 뛰놀 수 있는 그러한 일을 하기 위해서 이제 우리 한 사람 한 사람이 곶자왈 한편 사기 운동을 하기 위해서 돈을 차곡차곡 모아서 올려놓은 것처럼, 그래서 곶자왈 공유화재단에서 곶자왈을 매입을 했고 그 매입을 기념하기 위해서 이러한 상징물을 현재 만들어 놓고 있습니다. 이러한 상징물 내에서 다시 외부로 보면 곶자왈이 분포되어 있는 그러한 모습을 볼 수 있기 때문에 우리 모두가 전 세계인들이 아마존에 있는 열대우림이랑 크게 비교는 할 수 없지만 그래도 제주도에 있는 이러한 곶자왈을 서로 보존할 수 있게끔 많은 협력을 부탁드리는 바입니다.
Because I know that there will be lots of questions and we want to make sure that we get through all the presentations so that the audience has a chance to ask. So if I do that, I'm not being very rude, but please listen. So the next speaker is Nikita Lupukin, who is the chair of the Royal Commission on Protected Areas. Thank you.
Thank you very much for, first of all, inviting me to be a part of this and looking at the amount of people who are in the room. This is obviously a very important issue for the island of Jeju, and I think also for the Korea. I was listening to the first presentation and hearing about the wonderful values that are associated with Natshual. And then I was looking at the words written in English, and I was wondering whether if we replaced the first A with the letter E, that would mean that you got jewel. You have a jewel here. So my purpose here is to talk a bit about how to go about establishing a protected area. As the chair of the World Commission on Protected Areas, we're very interested in this idea. The expansion of protected areas is our interest, the management of these areas, and also the governance, the question of who has the authority over such areas. So if I can figure out how to do this.
Technical help.
I was explaining myself. Here is what I represent. The World Commission on Protected Areas, as our chair, Hamid, has said, there are 6 commissions of IUCN, and one of the commissions is the World Commission on Protected Areas. We're considered to be a global authority on protected areas, so we speak with some backed up by 1,400 members around the world. And we are organized regionally and thematically. And in fact, one of my vice chairs comes from Korea. Our strengths are in standards, setting and provision of technical advice, and in convening. So I'll be doing a bit of all three in the context of my presentation. We provide some technical advice, and obviously we've convened a number of people and talk about standards. So why is the world fixed on protected areas? Why do we need protected areas? There's a return on the investment. Very clearly, there is evidence around the world, for example, that €1 in nature conservation yields 7.5 euros to as much as €200 in returns. So this is an article that appeared in The Economist. So I'm not making this up. Somebody else made this assessment and analyzed it and came up with these numbers. The conference on ecological restoration that was held in 2008 showed that the Natura, the network of protected areas in Europe, has worth €6 billion per year. It's an investment. So the investment is about €10 per person. In other words, it's a very small amount of money that goes into protection. But the economic benefits are at least 3 to 4 times greater on a yearly basis. So the point simply is that put a 1 in and you get 10 back. As I said, it's worth at least $20 billion per year. But what it does, because it restores fisheries and forest products, it improves air and water quality, flood prevention, erosion control, carbon storage, all of these things we call ecosystem services. So they're part of the benefits of having protected areas. It is also obviously the biodiversity that we saw being displayed, but very clearly there's an opportunity also to reap many other benefits. So in the context of the world's reality, you saw earlier in this conference that we realized that we live on a very small, distant globe when you look at it from the moon. And that's the only thing we have. That's all we have for the future of your children and my children and their grandchildren, my great-grandchildren. But This little globe that we see here, just suspended in the middle of the world, the middle of the space, is facing serious, serious issues. The population of the world is expanding. Disease pandemics are being predicted and have occurred. Climate change impacts, poverty, water shortages, high food prices, resource-based conflicts, social unrest. All of these things give you concern and do not make you feel good. So what does make you feel good? The growth of national protected areas around the world. See how many protected areas have been established? Almost 200,000 of them. I call them hope spots. Around the world, we have created these green spots that gives us hope through all of those things that I talked about were negative. But here is a very positive thinking that if you create a protected area, you're giving hope not only to yourself, but to future generations. The Millennium Development Goals talked about to ensure environmental sustainability, integrating principles of sustainable development, reduce biodiversity loss. So the world has recognized that it's an important thing to do is to think about sustainable development, thinking about reduction of biodiversity loss. And then a Convention of Biological Diversity signed 20 years ago. We're celebrating Rio Plus 20 this year, 20 years after the first, when the Rio Conventions were signed. And this one has 3 objectives: conservation of biological diversity, sustainable use, and fair and equitable sharing of benefits arising out of the utilization of these products. In that Biodiversity Convention, there's an Article 8. And Article 8 specifically tells countries, and the countries have agreed to this, including Korea, to establish a system of protected areas, develop the guidelines, regulate or manage, and promote sound sustainable development areas adjacent to protected areas. In other words, it's not just creating them, you have to be careful what you do around them, and also provide financial support. And then furthermore, the same convention got together in 2004 and passed what is called the Program of Work. It does, in other words, gave detailed analysis of what needs to be done to make sure that a protected area is actually going to function and deliver on its objective of protection. So that particular protected areas program of work actually is accompanied by a number of other protected areas or other programs of work that are focused on plant conservation, marine, forest, mountains, inland waters, and every one of these also has a component directed at creating and looking at protected areas as a mechanism of achieving the objectives of these individual programs of work. The program of work of protected areas has 4 elements: direct actions for planning and effective establishing. The second one is on governance. The third one is enabling activities. In other words, some of the things that you would do to assure that the protected area is functional. And then the standards, assessment, and monitoring. And I'm going to speak just to the first 2. The first one, establishing protected areas, because this is in the context of your considerations of what would be the appropriate thing to do with the Gotcha. This is a precondition to the program of work, other elements, because without establishing, you can't do the other 3. But it's integrated planning. It's looking at this broader context of where it is that you want to establish a park, looking at the demands on the land and the sea, and trying to integrate that into this broader approach. Dealing with the key threats in your consideration of how to establish setting the boundaries and who would be involved. The governance is a particularly important element of the program of work, and I raise this because it's also one that has been rather ignored by the world, and because it is the issue of who will have the authority in managing these protected areas or protected areas. It's very, very important, and it says that throughout the context of the program of work, that critical to have local people's involvement in the establishment and management of protected areas. It repeats this over and over again and makes it very clear in this particular element that we should be looking at the benefits for local people and enhancing the involvement of indigenous and local communities. So obviously this particular issue is already being highly engaged with the local communities. So governance is about power, the relationship, and accountability. There are many different models. There are governments, private sector, indigenous people, non-government organizations who manage protected areas around the world. But it's all about integrating the sound principles of governance, sort of giving the voice to people, giving them legitimacy to participate, accountability, performance, that is, if you're not delivering, then you're accountable to the community, fairness, making sure that everybody has an opportunity, and then direction, setting the appropriate direction for the management of these areas. This is a table that shows IUCN's approach to looking at a matrix of how protected areas can be established and managed. On the far right side, so, on this side, these are the categories of IUCN. There are 6 categories that are used to define various approaches or objectives in the individual for a protected area. And above are the different forms of governance I spoke of. There's the government-run, such as the national park system, shared governance, where a local community shares with the national government, or indigenous community shares it. There's private governance. Many places around the world there are private protected areas. And then there's also governance by indigenous or local communities, communities that are responsible for the management of these protected areas. And so these are different approaches that can be used for establishing a protected area. The management effectiveness of protected areas that you review and look at and analyze how this is all working itself out and make corrections as you learn from your own approach. In Nagoya, just 2 years ago, there was a meeting and there was a target set that we need to increase the number of protected areas around the world. We're at 10% currently, at 12% for protected areas. We should go to 17 on terrestrial and 10 on marine. And then there are many values associated with protected areas that are beginning to be found out. For example, for climate change, there's a book that we published on the natural solutions, adaptations and mitigation values associated with protected areas. There's art books, endless amount of books that are dedicated arguing the values of protection, and those are available through IUCN's website, and that's what I want to say. Kamsahamnida.
Thank you very much. We've given some very helpful and practical suggestions for issues to be considered if the community wish to proceed with a protected area. Could I please now ask Jan Wiesel, the chair of the IUCN of Korea, and is going to talk about conservation and sustainable management. Please.
Well, when Nick mentioned about replacing some alphabet, A here to E, it's sure, then I have another suggestion. If we replace this T with D, then it will be jewel given by God. Or God. So from now on, I will say God jewel for its object, conservation and sustainable management. I'm chair of National Committee for IUCN. I have been to Jeju many times because Jeju has been designated as a site of World Natural Heritage, UNESCO Biosphere Reserve. So those kind of actually wonderful world, internationally designated protected areas have been built in various workshops and discussions. That's why I have been in Jeju. So first speaker, Dr. Song actually has presented a wonderful talk about ecological features and geological features of Gajur. And then we have a general presentation on protected areas. So my talk will be kind of combination of previous two presentations. So my main point of presentation will be how we will have this Gajur forest to be designated as a protected area, because Gajur forest has been neglected and ignored as an abandoned field or facing and recent development.